Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning, and welcome to Morning Brew, where I fluff my first line of just saying good morning. Sorry, I pressed the wrong thing. Hey, how you doing? It's Graham Hughes here on Politics Social. You're watching Morning Brew. It is Friday the 20th of February 2026. Glad to have you with us. Let's see who's in the chat here. We've got Ivan Ambrose. We've got Shropshire Chris. We've got Townsend. We have got Saz47. We've got Gallifreyan Wren. We have Andy. We have, Francis C. Dizzy Dizzle. Hey, yeah, how you doing? We've got Ernie Burns in there as well. Oh, God, everyone's here this morning. This is great. Welcome one and welcome all. If you want to join our beautiful people in the beautiful socialite chat here, and we'll have a conversation about what the fuck is going on in the world and in the news, all you need to do is hit the subscribe button and wait for approximately 1 minute and you'll be able to join in with the chat. But don't be a troll, because we do have some very, very effective moderators who will mute you and boot you. So please just be nice. Play nice. It's fine, you know. If you're on the left, anywhere on the left, then you're welcome here. Okay, just don't be a knob. So let's talk about the monarchy. Let's talk about the monarchy. We're going to talk about the monarchy. Are we really going to talk about? Yeah, come on. We've got to talk about the monarchy, don't we? So, is this the end? I don't know. Beautiful friend. Talking of what's not beautiful, I mean, the picture of Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, coming out of the police station yesterday. Here's the picture here. Sorry, shock. Trigger warning. Look at that. That picture's going to define this guy's legacy forever. He looks. He has hit the FO bit of FAFO. That is the FO face. That is FO face. It's a new thing, you know. FO face. People have found out. So, Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, the nonce formerly known as Prince, has been arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. Anyone watching live yesterday would have got that information here first. I think the BBC got there first at 10 o'clock, because they probably got a tip off. Like, it was exactly 10 o'clock that their news story went out. But if you were listening to LBC, if you were listening to James O'Brien, you would have found out a minute later. So what I think you should do is listen to me. Because, here we go, right. No adverts, right? No little bloody jingles or whatever they call it, stings, when it goes, mornings on LBC, and then you have to listen to the horrible grating voice of Nick Ferrari, privately educated, of course, and then you know, you've got the news, and just and then also, you know, when one of the things I liked about, because I went back and listened to James O'Brien yesterday, because there were no knobheads phoning in. And I know when we were doing the whole Brexit thing, it was quite fun. Now and again, like once every blue moon, a Brexiter would call up and have his pants pulled down by James O'Brien. But most people call up. Do you have to? I mean, seriously, do you have? And I did, James, and I said, the roundabout down the end, it used to have 3 exits. Now it's got 4. Don't know what. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't. They just put some blocks in the roads. Cool. Thanks for calling. Anyway, so this is why you should watch this channel. We don't have any of that nonsense. Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. A serious crime, hard to prove, but a serious crime nonetheless, and one that can receive a lifetime jail sentence. Now, I know a lot of us are pissed off that he hasn't actually been done for, you know, taking part in a huge paedophilic sex trafficking ring that's spanned about 27 different countries, with Jeffrey Epstein as the spider in the middle of the web. However, I'll take it. Because, as I said yesterday, the walls of your cell, for whatever crime you've committed, look the same. I just hope that he goes away for a long time. But even if he doesn't, this is the disgrace. This is the FA part of all this. Before we go on, sorry, the FO. Fucked around, found out. Francis Windrow, thank you very much for the £2 payday gift, which is very exciting and lovely. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to set a super chat goal of 5 super chats, any flavour of super chat, and that will result in the confetti cannon being shot off. Now, I must give apologies to Ivan and George and Saz and Ms. Paula Thomas and Sarah Davis and Sophia Lance, because they all gave super chats yesterday when I was talking to Ed Kimball. It's well worth watching that interview. Me and Ollie Bowler Hatman having a chat with a councillor, a Labour councillor from Worcester. And although Worcester is Labour majority in the council, Worcestershire is refuck. Like it's painfully refuck. It's very, very refucky. Well worth watching that interview, but I didn't want to interrupt the interview in the usual Scouse way. Going, Ed, I've got to stop you there because I'm gonna fire off the confetti cannon. So, in deference to George and Ivan and Saz and Paula and Sarah and Lance, we are going to set off the confetti cannon now. For these who want boobs! Confetti! And that's for everyone yesterday who chipped in. Thank you. Thank you very much. You are very kind. Hey everyone, I lost this channel for a while. Glad to have found it again. Says, you ain't put. Thank you. Thank you for coming back to us. Thank you. You had one job, Graham. Says, no, it didn't have one job, Gallifrey and Wren. I was interviewing. I was reading me questions. I was reading your comments. I was trying to respond to people. I was actually typing, thanks for the super chat, because I didn't want to talk what Ed was saying. And I was producing. And I was making sure that whatever. As Ed said last night, you know, we make it look easy. We make it look easy. I never liked Clarkson in the first place. If he does join low, it wouldn't surprise me. Oh my God. Jeremy Clarkson. We've got It's Okay, Graham. Oh, thank you, Sarah. Bit more forgiving than Gallifrey and Wren. Thank you very much for the super chat. It's very kind of you. No, I'm just ribbing you. It's all right. It's fine. Okay, so listen, right, back to the Voiles. Right, I'm hoping to keep things fairly light and fluffy this morning, because I know that we've just been having like fucking one absolutely dire news story to talk about after another, and I know that if you want to just be this shit depressed out of you may as well just watch the news. But obviously, this is a little bit of a forum for discussion, and therefore we're not necessarily breaking the news, breaking hearts, breaking people's minds. Like what the elites kind of seem to want to do to us at the moment. They just want us to they want to grind us down, and I think that a healthy sense of humor is the one thing that they can't stand, you know, because they're all such humorless bastards. Despite the fact that Farage is just like chuckling to himself all the fucking time, you know, you think about the people that he hangs out with, you know, Trump and Orban and Putin. They're just humorless bastards. They've never told a joke in their life. The only time they laugh is at someone else's misfortune. It's the only thing they find funny. Anyway, let's get back to talking about the nonce previously known as Prince Andrew. He was the first senior British royal in modern history to be arrested since, I believe, Charles I, King of England. Do you know what happened to Charles I? Yeah, he was liberated. His body got liberated from his head, or his head got liberated from his body. I don't know how to put that, but yeah, English Civil War. Anybody? Yeah. So yeah, that was the last time. Now, normally when a monarch or a monarch's brother, a monarch's nephew, decides to commit some horrific crimes, they are sent into exile, scribbled away somewhere, lest the embarrassment hit the rest of the family, and it's all hushed up and no one knows about it. There's no arrest made and there's no public record. We don't live in those days anymore. You know, there's no escape. There's no escape from the internet. There's no escape from Skynet. I mean, internet. And yeah, so as a result, Andrew was taken from his home yesterday, Prince Andrew. Let's keep calling him Prince because, as Femi does quite sagely points out, he's still part of the royal family. He might not be a working royal, and he can take his titles away, but he's still the king's brother. He's taken from his home on the Sandringham estate. He's been released under investigation. There's no sexual offences charged at this stage, but the allegations have centred instead on his position as during his time as a UK trade envoy from 2001 to 2011. Department of Justice documents have intensified scrutiny over his contact with Jeffrey Epstein during that period. And this is symbolically explosive. It really is. And do you know what else is symbolically explosive? The fact that Miss Paula Thomas just dropped a £5 super chat in the super chat fund. Thank you. Thank you so much. Andrew being done on misconduct in public office is a bit like Al Capone being done for tax evasion. Both are easier to prove than the main crimes. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean. I'll take it. Al Capone famously went down for tax evasion, not for all the crimes that he committed, like real crimes. I mean, tax evasion is still a crime, but I mean, compared with the other shit he did, I mean, this guy murdered dozens of people. Like he oversaw one of the biggest bootlegging operations that the world has ever seen. But yeah, so he was the Pablo Escobar of his day. So yeah, this arrest is symbolically explosive because there was an arrest on a royal estate. He was photographed. He was fingerprinted. He was treated like an ordinary suspect and would have been thrown in one of the ordinary breeze block jail cells that they have with those metal toilets, and he would have had his shoelaces taken out of his shoes. When I was arrested in Africa, they took my shoes off. I didn't even get any shoes. Took my glasses as well, the bastards, and me top. And they didn't let me have my malaria pills either. Anyway, but yeah, that was a long time ago. I'm cool about it now. It's fine. You do you, Congo. You do you. Yeah, so he was police vans at Sandringham, and that image of the Nancy bastard in the back of his car, you know, just looking like fuck. You know, that is one hell of an image. That is one hell of an image. That image is going to be burnt into the retinas of many people who up to this point have kind of praised and defended the royalty, no matter what. The royal family must be protected. There was something that James O'Brien said yesterday when the news broke. He said, I'm glad that you know what though, I'm glad the Queen's not around to see this. I'm like, fuck that shit. She was the one who agreed to pay the 12 million to Virginia Giuffre, a woman that what's his name? Andrew Mountbatten never fucking met, apparently. My regret, like, I would have loved the Queen to have seen all this. I would have fucking loved it. You know, 101 years old. Yeah, fuck it. You know, why not? 100 years old. She would have been 100 years old this year. So yeah, brilliant. Bring it on. Bring that shit on. All right. Yeah, I have no problem with that one. Do you know what I regret? The fact that Virginia Giuffre isn't around to see it. That's what I regret. Right? I wish that she was still with us so she could see that sweaty fucking nonce get in the back of a fucking car looking like he just had a fucking, I don't know, hedgehog stuffed up his ass. As they often say, the dildo consequences rarely arrives lubed. So yeah, this crosses a psychological line, as well as a constitutional one. And this isn't just the tabloid filth of the 1990s, the divorce wars and the Diana interview and the horrible anus and the and the the Harry and Meghan exit more recently. This isn't tittle tattle. This isn't the future king telling his mistress that he'd love to be a tampon. These things fucking happened, you know. These things. This is not just an embarrassment to the royal family. This is constitutional seriousness. This is criminal investigation territory. It's police procedure. It's potential misuse of state authority with 8 different police forces investigating various crimes that this motherfucker, this posh, arrogant, privately educated motherfucker has perpetrated, being put into positions he should have never been put into because he's fucking not qualified. And you know, all of these posh bastards who I hate. And I know I go on about the private school mafia a lot, but it really fucks me off because they are the people who go after affirmative action, positive discrimination. They go after the Equalities Act, as we're seeing now with refuck. All these privately educated refuck fuckers standing there on the stage going, we're going to get rid of the Equalities Act. Do you know why? Because they don't want the best person for the job. They want them and their little cunt children. All right, sorry for calling your kids cunts. Sorry, I'll take that back. But you're still a cunt. They want their unqualified, idiotic, like borderline, they would have been locked up in the Victorian era in the imbecile asylum. Kids to be running everything. They want them to be running the big companies into the ground. They want to be running the big countries into the ground. They want to be running the NHS during a time of a global pandemic and resulting in the deaths of tens of thousands of old people. Because we threw a ring of protection around. It was a cholera ring. They want their kids who are not qualified to get the jobs. And they want to be able to then sack the people who are qualified who happen to be deaf or blind or are black or a Muslim or a Jewish or are a woman or anything they want. They can not give a reason. They can say, right, that's it, you're fired. No workers' rights for you. That's what they want. That's the future they want. And the people who vote for these motherfuckers need to be woken up to the fact that they are voting for the aristocracy to shit all over them. Anyway, the palace has responded with King Charles' statement, King Charles III, named after King Charles, who, it said the law must take its course. His law. That's the funny thing about this. When you get done for a crime, it's His Majesty, isn't it? You serve at His Majesty's pleasure. We got a £2 super chat from Ernie Burns. Thank you. Pinched Andrew's collar on the way. Put the willies up Trump. I hope so. Daylight M. Thank you very much for the £10 super chat. While I agree on accountability, I hope that the horrific abuse they inflicted on girls, not women, are investigated as much as they can. Police protection officers who saw everything need to be in interview. I agree, Daylight M. I hope that this is looked into. Now, in America, Trump runs the DOJ, so he's not going to get done. He's not going to get done for any of these fucking crimes. His name has been redacted over 30,000 times that we know of. A Democrat lawmaker over in America said that Trump's name appears 1 million times in these files. 1 million times. Hundreds of women, hundreds of girls abused, sex trafficked, and then hushed up, threatened with violence. And some of them, I do believe, have been met with violence. Strats for us. Thank you very much, Strats for us. A £20 super chat. That's very kind of you. Thank you. Well done, Graham. I love your resilience. Oh, thank you. And you know what? I love you because you've just unblocked the confetti cannon. So I'm going to be able to shoot out the confetti again. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Confetti! And, oh, yes. Viper Scott as well. But confetti time for Dizz's fix. I definitely owe Diz a couple more drinks, obviously. So yeah, going back to what the palace have already said, that there'd be full cooperation, no emotional language. He didn't refer to his brother as his brother. He referred to him as Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor. Like that's whoa, a sick burn, bro. Didn't say my brother, didn't make any reference to any kind of relation. It was just like there was this private citizen who's been arrested by the police, and I hope that police do really well. No beloved brother, not even bro, not even, some gobshite I grew up with. This is strategic detachment, clearly. And obviously, they've already stripped Andrew of his military titles. They've moved his HRH status. In practice, they've evicted him from the Royal Lodge, although he has just moved to a slightly smaller fucking palace. But the public distancing has been ongoing for years. But the question is, like, does this damage the monarchy? And the short answer, I think, is yes, but perhaps not fatally. And maybe it should. Maybe it should. Maybe it is the time for us to sort of take account of the fact that if you put someone who is inadequate for a job in charge of really important shit, like, I don't know, Matt Hancock during the fucking pandemic, you are going to result in people suffering, women being raped, girls being raped in this case, people dying in the case of Matt Hancock. Stop putting people who are incompetent in positions of power or giving them status or giving them the power over our lives when they are not competent themselves. The only reason that you're giving them these things is because they went to posh private school. Because you were rich beyond your wildest dreams. Okay, they plopped out their mother and into a bloody field of gold. And they were like, oh, good, oh, I got all this gold. That must be, I'm in charge. No. Was it Carlos II of Spain who was so inbred that his bottom jaw missed the top one by about an inch? Stop it. Just stop believing that there's some biological imperative for like a certain group of people, you know, that produce natural leaders. It's not true. Some of the best leaders, some of the best actors, some of the best artists and musicians, some of the best people who have ever lived have come from humble beginnings, have not come from a fucking landed a fucking estate and a bursary at Eton, which they didn't even need because we could have afforded it really. But it's always good to take money off the taxpayer for my depravities. Ivan, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be on here. The DWP are hounding me again with another universal credit review. They're demanding bank statements again. I'm already ill enough. I mean, I'm sorry, Ivan. That is shit. That is so fucking shit, man. I get another universal credit review. I just... I'm sorry, mate. If you want to go and do something else, it's a bit more cheerful. I'm not going to take offense. But yeah, look after yourself. And I'm sorry. I'm really fucking sorry that the system is so stacked up against people like you and millions of others in this country who are just not served by the society that is supposed to serve us. There's a social contract. We give up certain rights in order for society to function. And at the moment, because of the ebbs and flows of I was going to say democratic change, but it's not, is it? It's the rise of the internet and social media. It's the credit crunch. It's Brexit. It's COVID. It's Trump. It's all these gobshites who just want to feather their nests, and it's leaving everyone else behind. But Ivan, thank you very much for sticking with the channel as much as you do. And I know that you got a lot of shit going on right now, and I hope you get the help from your family to support you through this. And I'm really sorry, mate. It fucking sucks. Ms. Paula Thomas has also dropped in a super chat, but Andrew is still 8th in line to the throne. Yeah. There is a kind of King Ralph style photographic disaster. Yeah, he could actually technically be king. It's kind of mad, isn't it? So yeah, going back to whether this damages the monarchy. Yes, absolutely. But does it damage it fatally? I don't know. You look, we got the public does not meaningfully distinguish between family and institution when it comes to the royals. Hereditary monarchy means bloodline is the point, and he remained in the line of succession, as Miss Paula Thomas has just pointed out. The public sees royal privilege, decades of protection. His protection officers looks like they fucking joined in by the looks of things, or at least turned a blind eye. Late action. A lot of Republicans, not the bad Republicans from America, but the good Republicans who want to get rid of the monarchy over here are gonna be, obviously making a lot of noise right now. There's a lot of outrage on social media, a lot of calls for reform, especially amongst younger demographics already lukewarm on monarchy. And look, before we go on, I'm going to try and talk about a couple of positive things, right? But before we, just pepper the doom and gloom with some positive things. And look, seriously, I think that the fact that Andrew has been arrested, great, that's a positive thing. But also, the surplus, the budget surplus, turns out to be a lot bigger than we thought it was going to be. It's the biggest since the early 90s. So that gives Rachel Reeves a bit of headroom in their spring statement to maybe, I don't know, help more people, help Ivan, help trans women, help kids suffering from mental health problems, to help fill the fucking potholes. Whatever needs to be done, fucking do it. Great. The other bit of good news, though, is this. There was a survey that came out yesterday, or a poll that came out yesterday. And it was 18 to 24-year-olds, right? 18 to 24-year-olds who weren't old enough to vote, obviously, in the Brexit referendum. Sorry, to 26. It was 18 to 26, actually, because I think it was, but they weren't old enough to vote in the Brexit referendum. 80% want to rejoin the EU. 80%? 80 fucking %! Holy moly! That's beyond a super majority. That's a super duper majority. That's a hyper majority. That's a mega majority. That's a fuck is all majority. And it is crazy, you look at the demographics now. Like if only over 65s could vote, Refuck would have a 300-seat majority in Parliament. Like, it's that mad at the moment. Whereas if only people who were under 30 could vote, Refuck would have 2 MPs, I think. The gap, the age gap in voting intention is just crazy. And I really wish that more older people, who are the sensible ones, and there are some, could talk to their peers more and get them round and just say, look, you've got to do something about this mentality. You've got to blaming everything on immigrants, blaming everything on lesbians and the disabled people. Like, fucking hell. Why are you fucking things up for the younger generations? They don't want this. Younger people do not want to Brexit. They do not want fucking reform. They don't want Nigel Farage getting rid of the Equalities Act, taking us out of the European Convention on Human Rights, taking away our renters' rights, taking away our workers' rights. We don't want that. Getting rid of fucking minimum wage so companies can pay slave wages, can do what they're doing in Argentina and pay people in food. Bring back slavery. That's what they'd like to do. I don't give a fuck. And when these posh bastards talk about, well, I was talking to a member of the working class the other day. Class. Anyone who pronounces class like class does not have any right whatsoever to talk about the working class. Okay, that's just the new rule. New rule, made a rule. Listen, if you refer to the working class as the working class, then shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. You went to a preppy fucking private prep school. You went to a poncy fucking private fucking secondary school. You went to a posh elite university. You've moved in circles. You've moved at the Masons and the smoking rooms and the echelons of high society. That's where you've hung out your whole fucking life. I mean, look at these people. They can't even fucking order a donut. They can't do the normal things that normal people do. Look at Rishi Sunak when he tried to fucking fuel up his car and pay with a card. He'd never done it before. He didn't know how to. Because when you're worth £500 million, why would you know how to use a fucking card? Why would you know how to fucking pay for anything? Why would you know how to get petrol? You just fucking wouldn't. When people from those high fucking levels start saying, well, we're going to go working class. I go back to my friend's story from the weekend where he told me that, someone that he knows, an older gentleman, literally said that the reason why the reservoirs last summer were so low was because of all the boat people coming and drinking all our water. This is how addled the minds are of some older people in this country. And I'm going to just do the not all boomers before I get shouted at. Not all boomers, but but 80% of them, possibly more. But yeah, have words. Have words. Have words. Please, please. Because they're not listening to us. They're not listening to anyone below the age of 60. We didn't grow up with them. We don't know them. They're not our mates. So please, just a heartfelt plea. I'm sure there's people in your life, there's people in your family, neighbors, colleagues, former colleagues, whatever, who couldn't possibly be talked to. But every vote counts in this upcoming election. And if Refuck in 2029, and if Refuck win, Jesus Christ! Last night it came out that there was a reform. The campaign activist for Refuck in Gorton and Denton, who's working with this monster, Matt Goodwin, who thinks that women should be compelled to have children. He put out anti-Semitic and misogynistic social media posts, including when he was on an online discussion in July 2024 about Holocaust death tolls, where he asserted that 6 million Poles, including some Jews, have been murdered. And he said they always use Poles to make up the number. And on top of it, they claimed Poles were killing just sick. That was Jake Shields, a UFC fighter who had a history of anti-Semitic comments. This Mitchula, what's his name? Adam Mitchula. He said they always use Poles to make up the number when talking about the Holocaust. In another post from the same month, Mitchula wrote that he would never touch a Jewish woman. I really don't know what to say about that. Some of the most gorgeous people I know are Jewish. I mean, bloody hell. Hollywood actresses. Scarlett Johansson, Mila Kunis, Natalie Portman. I mean, even Gal Gadot. I mean, she's not a great actress, but she's nice to look at. Okay, mate. Fine. Don't like attractive women. Fair enough. But the level of anti-Semitism that must be flowing through your veins to look at a woman as beautiful as Natalie Portman and go, nah, sorry, mate, no chance. No, not doing that. No, not going there. No. I mean, how fucked up do you need to be? How awash with the toxic racism do you have to be? It's like these men who say they'll never sleep with a black woman. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Have you seen Beyonce? Like, seriously, have you seen? Jesus Christ! What is wrong with these people? What is wrong with it? And for the people who like men, Harrison Ford, his mum was Jewish. He's a good-looking chap. Old Indiana in his prime. Although he had a bit of a dodgy relationship with Marion Ravenwood. But we'll talk about that another time. Viper Scott, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. This community here, I'm so proud of you all. Yay! And claps. So am I. Thank you. Thank you, Alistair. And thank you for the community here, meeting up each morning, fighting early, 9 o'clock. Put the world to rights. Shropshire Chris says, I'm 60 in April and I hate that people in my age group are so uneducated they vote for the fash. Yep. To be honest, Graham, I think that's most of the south of England, says Tim that. Yep. Thanks all. What about me making a complaint about the DWP? Ivan, if you've got if you can do it, if you can do it, then do it. If you feel up to it, then definitely. I mean, it's just out of order. It's just at the moment, it just seems like they're just bugging you for no fucking good reason. Who thinks when Andrew saw police uniforms, he thought stripper on his birthday until they led him away rather than from the house than inside? Yes. Indeed, my friend. Indeed. Lupita Nagongo. I call him again. I mean, we could just sit here and list beautiful people who aren't white, and we'll be here all fucking day. We'll be here all fucking day. You know, my friend Heather Stewart White, who's a former supermodel from the 1990s, she's actually half Indian. Her dad was Indian, and it's mad. Like, you know, she's absolutely gorgeous, and I guess back in the 90s, it was quite common for like people who you know had been teased in school. Teased. She had racial slurs thrown at her in school, to then you know, go on to become these top models. And there's been historic actresses and models and things like that who have had Indian heritage, black heritage, and it's been suppressed. It's been suppressed. That didn't happen with Heather, but I mean, back in the day, in ye olde Hollywood days, there were mixed race actresses, and they used to white them up to make them more passable, more palatable. And these are absolute fucking stunners. Absolute fucking stunners. So, you know, was it Rita Hayworth? Yeah, was it Rita? No, it wasn't. Was it? She was mixed Spanish, Romani, Irish, and English descent. Yeah. So her hair was not naturally red. They gave her red hair to get rid of the fact that, you know, she had this Spanish heritage, and they wanted it to make her look more white. This is Rita Hayworth of the Shawshank Redemption fame. Absolutely beautiful woman. And Diana Dawes, yeah. And I do find it like really grim that there are people out there still to this day who are like, they must look at someone who's absolutely fucking drop dead gorgeous and go, no. I mean, not that they'll have a chance anyway, but just to deny that person to deny that person is gorgeous out of racism. That is bizarre to me. That is absolutely bizarre. And yeah, there are some models, some actresses, some, you know, actors, you know, everyone fawns over, and I don't get it. But it's never to do with their ethnicity. Jesus Christ, why? What? No, absolutely not. Never go out with a chinless woman of the surname Oakeshott with the first name of Isabel, says Reckle Puny. Yeah, indeed. Ivan Ambrose, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. In addition, this time, the DWP are asking me to send them a list of my essential outgoings. What's this for? Is this usual practice? I don't know, Ivan. If people know in the chat, if anyone can help Ivan out there on that question, because I don't know. But yes, please. That would be awesome. Colin Baker says, has anyone seen the film Gilda because of the Shawshank Redemption? I don't know if I've ever watched Gilda, you know, but obviously it is in the Shawshank Redemption, isn't it? Because it's a famous bit where they're watching the film and he asks Red for a poster of the lady in the movie, which is Rita Hayworth. So yes, I expect like bankruptcy. Make sure your outgoings are really high. I'm going to retire soon. I can't stand the senior citizens that support refuck. Hence, I'm staying at work for the time being, says Townsend. Yeah. Sarah says, I don't see colour or race. I only see human being. We're all equal. Yeah. I mean, you know, some people are gobshites. But that's it, you know. It is very much I think this is the big schism of our time, isn't it? Where people on the right will judge you for how you look. Whereas people on the left will judge you for who you are, like your actions. You'll be judged on your actions. But on the right, it's all about, you know, it's all about discrimination against people who don't look, however, you know, whatever fantasy they have in their head of how society should look. But also, it's like, you know, the people who look rich, we should look up to them because obviously they've got a lot of brains. If they manage to be so rich, how can you be so rich if you didn't have brains? Arrest pick is the Reese Mogg nonchalant pose. Sorry, was combining the words morgue and nonchalant into one word. Monkchalant, which is like looking nonchalant as a monk for some reason. So thanks very much to Reverend Kathy for the super chat there. Sorry I can't read anything this morning. But yeah, let's get back into the main story here about how this is going to affect the monarchy. Now, I think there is going to be a big effect, and the ripples for this might not be really felt for quite a while. But I think this is especially keen for younger voters, younger demographics who were already kind of lukewarm on the monarchy. I think this is going to have quite an effect overall in kind of this disrespect for the monarchy that the monarchy's trying to be, pulling back since the 1990s. Don't forget, in the 1990s, the monarchy did look like it was on its fucking last legs. We had all these fucking scandals after scandals after scandals, and the Queen's kids going around acting like fucking barbarians and knobheads. And then it all capped it all off at the end of August 1997, when Princess Diana was killed in a car crash at the age of 36. And the monarchy looked finished, to be honest with you. At that point, there was a public fury at the palace's initial stance. They wouldn't lower the flag on Buckingham Palace to half mast, because they went, but it's not a flag, it's a standard. And as someone who likes flags generally, I don't like them on every fucking lamppost, Jesus Christ, and I don't like them being flown upside down. But they just didn't get the public sentiment. It just seemed so impersonal, and there was this public fury, this outpouring of grief, first of all, from the public. This sea of flowers and plastic outside the gates of Buckingham Palace, but also the public's fury at the fact that the palace didn't, really say much about it. And the approval ratings of the Queen and the family plummeted, and the talk of a shift to a republic was real. But then what happened? The institution adapted. The Queen addressed the nation. They recalibrated public engagement, and they survived. And for the last 25 years, they've been really pushing the whole thing of trying to revive the look, the aesthetics of having a fucking monarchy. But then I feel like they fucked it all up 10 years ago when they turned on, well, it wasn't 10 years ago now, it was 8 years ago, when they turned on Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. I think that was the most ridiculous thing they could have done. It made Prince Harry marrying a woman, a gorgeous woman who's mixed race, made the idea of having a monarchy, made it seem a little bit more progressive, a little less, a little bit more meritocratic. Like it looked like if you were, good at something, like acting, I guess, you could actually become a princess. You don't have to go to private school like Princess Kate, and go to a posh university like Princess Kate and hang out with all the posh people like Princess Kate. You didn't have to do that. So yeah, then there's also, when has the monarchy been on the ropes before to this kind of extent? 1936, 11th of December, 1936, when Edward VIII was forced out of being king because he was a fucking Nazi. He was a Nazi. He's a Nazi. He was a Nat, don't you see? But also he married an American. Or he's in love with an American. He wants to marry an American divorcee, and we couldn't have that. That was just an excuse. It was because he was a Nazi. They got rid of him because Winston Churchill was like, we're not having this guy. He's a fucking Nazi. Let's get rid of him. And that created a constitutional shock, forced George VI into a position where he had to be king, and he wasn't particularly great at it because he had a stammer and he didn't like going out in public, and he didn't like, he did the best he could for a few years, but that abdication crisis did look like that could have been the end of the monarchy. And don't forget, monarchies all over the world have ended. And there was a constitutional shock, but the monarchy survived. Sacrificed the individual, cast him out into the cold, which was, in retrospect, that was a really fucking good idea. Oh, thank you very much, Miss Paula Thomas, for triggering the confetti. Ironically, it was Diana's funeral that saved the monarchy. I think it was under threat until then. Yeah, and who did they make walk behind the fucking coffin? It was Prince Harry. You know, Prince Harry doing that, what he did, walking behind his mother's coffin at the age of, what, 11? Horrible thing to do to a kid that age. Horrible thing to do. But, you know, the institution, the firm needed to be protected. Viper Scott, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. It's very kind of you. Confetti time. Happy Diz. Happy Diz. I was going to say happy birthday, Diz. But happy Diz, because we are happy. Confetti! Confetti. Right, so yeah, moving on. Yeah, just to go back to sort of, so you had the abdication crisis in 1936. You had the Princess Diana dying crisis in 1997. You had we had the rehabilitation of Camilla, and now Camilla is Queen Camilla, even though there was a lot of talk of her not being the Queen and then not getting married, etc., etc. That happened, and you know, everyone sort of fell in line. I think that the monarchy really fucked up when they turned on Meghan Markle, but the institutions, which include all the posh, privately educated twats who run and write for all of our newspapers, turned on Meghan and Harry and said, oh no, they're the worst. And the weird thing is, and you can try this experiment at home, it is so much fun. Go and ask someone who hates Harry and Meghan why they hate Harry and Meghan. Go and ask. See if you can get a sensible fucking answer out of them, because I've never been able to. I've never been able to get a serious answer out of someone that I've asked that question to. Or, you know, for extra fun, ask them why they hate trans people. Go on. Ask them why they hate trans. I'm not asking for my trans friends to do this because they have to put up with enough shit. But everyone else, can you just make some time this weekend to just ask someone who doesn't like trans people? Ask them why. Why? And ask them if this is a thing that they've always had all their life, or whether they just developed it in the last sort of 7-8 years because they were told to by Rupert Murdoch and the Rothermere fucking family and the fucking Barclay fucking family and all the other gobshites who run our media. So yeah, the monarchy, I guess, skirted around the whole Harry and Meghan issue, which should have been more of a bombshell than it was if the media had got behind Harry and Meghan rather than getting behind the royals, which is what they did. But that brings us around to the Queen carking it. Prince Philip carking it. You know, the Queen sitting there in the funeral on her own with a mask on, and everyone went, "Oh, that's a bit shit, isn't it?" And everyone sort of felt for her. She felt like the nation's grandmother. You know, there was the opening of the Olympics. There was the little video that she did with Paddington in the year that she died. And yeah, okay, you know, when she did cark it, and there was a big queue of people waiting to get their respects, and obviously Philip Schofield did a runner. No, sorry, that was another time when he'd done a runner. He skipped the queue with Holly Willoughby. Yes, the monarchy has taken these sort of ebbs and flows in public sentiment. When the Queen died, the public sentiment for the monarchy was a big high, which was a surprise for a lot of people who were hoping that the Queen would be the end of it. Like, when the Queen goes, that's it. We're done. Who wants King Sausage Fingers as our monarch? Like, no one. I mean, come on. But yet the institution remains. And this is why I don't think this is the end. It might be the beginning of the end. I don't think it's by any means the end, no matter what happens to Andrew, because they have obviously cast him out to the wolves. They've cast him out. They've said it's nothing to do with us. They've referred to him in the letter, not even calling him their brother. Just, you know, some bloke down the road got arrested for this terrible thing. Yeah, I thought it was horrific making the grandchildren stand guard at the coffin when the Queen died. Yeah. Honestly, I so much of the shit the royals do just balls my piss. Like, what the fuck? Like, seriously, are we still doing this? And people go, the British do pomp and pageantry better than anybody else. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, is this really necessary? We've got a cost of living crisis here. Why are we spending millions on this shit? Ivan, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. I'm a monarchist, but Andrew should be in prison and the monarchy must be significantly slimmed down. There are so many bad republics out there, though. Yeah, I mean, there's bad monarchies as well. Look at Eswatini, the fucking king of Eswatini is corrupt as fuck. He's got like 27 wives. Nice work if you can get it. But you know, that's the way they do things down in Eswatini, former Swaziland. So like I say, so we've had the ebbs and flows. We've had the Charles and Diana scandal, the Fergie scandals, the horrible anus, and when crisis hits, there's a pattern here. You know, they tend to remove or isolate the liability, and they preserve the crown. They gather around and protect the firm. And the monarchy, like structurally, it's hard to kill. It's hard to kill. Despite, there are people who support it. There's lots of people who support it, but it's embedded in our unwritten constitution, which is hilarious. Can I just talk about our constitution for a moment? And honestly, this isn't going to be a massive segue. Okay, it's not going to be a huge tangent, but like, can we all just take a moment to just laugh at America, please? Just come on, all come together, right? Can we just take one moment to just laugh at America? Why? Well, because they have a written constitution and they go on about their fucking constitution all the time and how amazing their constitution is. And their constitution was a person, they would just lube it up with K-by jelly and just fuck it in every hole. They love their constitution. They adore their constitution. They swear allegiance to their constitution. They rub the constitution on their face before they go to sleep at night. They wake up in the morning, they sing songs about their fucking constitution. Their constitution is fucking wank. It is a wanky scrap of paper from the 1700s that has no fucking place in the 21st century. And I'll tell you why. Because they have a written constitution. Look at us, we have a written constitution. It's an amazing written constitution. Right? There's 50 states in America. 50 states. Each of those states have their own state constitution. Every single one of those 50 states have updated their constitution over the years. Whereas the constitution that, for the 1770s in America is still in place right now. Still in place. And they've hardly fucking changed it. And changing it is really fucking difficult. The Equality Rights Amendment for women to have equal rights was ratified by was voted on by the Senate and the House of Representatives. It was signed off by the president. But it needed to be ratified by 2/3 of the states in America. It still hasn't. Still hasn't been ratified. That's how difficult it is to change the constitution over there. Okay, so constitution, really hard to change. First amendment to the Constitution is bullshit because it doesn't really affect anyone, really. It just gives people the idea that they can be horrible to each other and get away with it. The government is very, very, very capable of shutting people up if they want to. Second amendment to the Constitution, guns. Give everyone a fucking gun. Give everyone an AR-15. Brilliant. Well done. Well done. What a great fucking plan, America. What? Sorry. Do you remember, I wrote my final year dissertation when I was studying politics and modern history at Manchester University. I wrote my final year dissertation on American gun policy. God, it was eye-opening even back then. The fact that you couldn't, like, by law, make a database that had, like, of guns, gun owners, and the serial numbers. You couldn't make an electronic database of that. You had to get these little chits of paper and send them to a warehouse in West Virginia, which is millions of little chits of paper, and that's how you find out. You find a gun that's been used in the murder and it's got a serial number on. You have to phone up the fucking warehouse and say, "Hey, can you go and find this number for me?" And they're like, "Okay, we'll be back with you in 6 months' time." Maybe. The fact that if a gun malfunctions, blows your own fucking head off, your surviving family members can't sue the manufacturers of the gun. If it's a toy gun, they can, but a real gun, no, they can't. Okay, the FBI does not collate data for how many people are shot dead by the police in America. It's just not collected. We don't know. The CDC are the only group that are allowed to tell you absolute numbers of gun deaths in America, and they'll just say there were X many accidents, X many suicides, X many homicides, which is sitting around 50,000 a year these days. There's more than road accidents. More people get killed by guns in America. But they can't do any detailed research on it. They're not allowed to by law. The American Constitution. Okay, so the reason I'm saying this, right, is because the guy in charge of America right now is a massive fucking nonce. He is a serial sexual predator who has raped dozens of women and possibly girls in his fucking lifetime. He is a horrible, disgusting blob of a man. A foul, cantankerous mountain of mad flesh and boiled fucking bile. He is grotesque in every way that could possibly be fucking, thought of. Every single human depravity is put together in their fucking president that 77 million of those knobheads fucking voted for, right? Can't do him. He's not getting arrested, is he? And in fact, because he's president, no one in his circle is getting arrested because they're all his mates. All the people in the Epstein files are mates of the fucking president. Now imagine, just for one moment, if our head of state, our king, said, "Oh, no, you're not arresting my brother." Imagine if the police had told King Charles, as a courtesy, that they were going to arrest his brother. Spoiler, they didn't. Imagine how we would be feeling today. What, are you kidding me? The king stopped his brother from being arrested for a crime that his brother committed. Fuck that shit. How is that fucking legal? It's not. It's not. In our shonky, stupid, first past the post, unwritten constitution ridiculousness that is this country, we can still arrest the king's brother. Whereas the Trump crime family can do whatever the fuck they like. They can literally kill Americans, shoot them in the face in broad fucking daylight, or shoot them in the back of the head in broad daylight and get away with it. So glad I don't live in America. So glad I don't live in America. But I do find it hilarious that they love their constitution so much. And we've got a better one. We don't even have a written constitution. Not saying that we shouldn't have a written constitution, by the way, but can you tell me your system's not working without saying your system's not working? It's kind of crazy, isn't it? Okay, Roger Devine is off to the mechanics. Catch you later if you're on for this afternoon streams. Cool. I will be on. With Phil later at 1:00 for the agenda. Where we're going to be ramping up things about the Gorton-Denton by-election and what's happening there, and what our predictions are for who is going to win the Gorton-Denton by-election. It's going to be close. It's going to be very close. Anyway, yeah. So we do have a constitution. It's an unwritten constitution based on years and years of common law, natural law, Jude law, over 1,000 years, of things coming in. It's embedded in the constitution, absolutely embedded. The monarchy. The monarch is the head of state, also the head of our religion, our state religion, Church of England. The members of the armed forces swear an oath to the king, not to Parliament, not to the president, not to not to the Constitution, not to the flag, but to the king. And you know what? I think that is it gives us a get out, right? And I think some of you are going to watch this and go, "Fuck off, Graham. What are you talking about?" But listen, stay with me on this, right? Just imagine Nigel Farage becomes fucking prime minister. This horrific, confluence of events that propels him to the highest elected office in the land, right? And his goons start going door to door, knocking on doors and saying to people, "Are you black? Are you disabled? Are you Jewish?" And if you say yes, they shoot you in the face, right? Because that's the future that these fucking monsters want, right? Who's going to stop him? Who's going to say no, right? Well, here's the thing. In America, the president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. This dates back to George Washington, because he was a general of the American military at the time of the Revolutionary War, the War of Independence, or what I like to call the Anglo-Franco fucking proxy war that happened to take place in America, because it was basically England versus France. But I mean, just hot word to the wise. Okay, listen, come here. Hey, France. If you're gonna back some Republican rebels, some Republican insurgents who want to get rid of the monarchy from having a say in the US of A, right? Don't be surprised if that same mentality infects your body politic. And I don't know, less than 20 years later, you find your king and his queen getting their heads chopped off. because that literally happened. So yeah, maybe don't defend the idea of not having a king if you want to keep your king. I mean, if you didn't want to keep your king, that's fine. Seems like a strange thing for King Louis XVI to sign off on, but you know, who am I to say? Miss Paula Thomas, thank you very much for this £5 super chat. It's very kind of you. What's the only other country in the world to have an unwritten constitution? Israel. Ooh. Thank you for the answer in there, because that would have bugged me. I would have been sitting here going, is it Bhutan? Is it Saint Nitz? Is it Saint Nitz? What the fuck is wrong with me? Is it Saint Kitts and Nevis? Is it? Morning all. In the past few minutes, I heard what sounded like fireworks. I didn't see any smoke or anything, says Cavan Lad. Something happened. And something happened to set off fireworks. Is it the big beautiful day? Is the big beautiful day here? Is it? Fucking, I'll tell you what, like, the big beautiful day when it comes, it's going to be like the fucking rapture, isn't it? It's going to be so cool. Oh, I can't wait. But yes, so, if Farage as Prime Minister, which I don't think is going to happen, right? Calm down. I don't think it's going to happen, right? But if it did happen, our armed forces have the legal right under British law to say no. They can say no. Because unless the king signs off on it, which he won't, because it's King Charles, and after that it'll be King William, you know, it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So yeah, they've got a get out. They've got a legal get out to say I'm not doing that. That goes with that also goes for like joining in stupid bloody foreign military intervention adventures with the Yanks. They can legally say no if they want to. If Parliament, you know, technically, I know it's never happened, but they can. So you've got a pressure valve there. That pressure valve doesn't really exist in America. That you got all these generals who are just trying to just keep Trump doing what they want him to do because he's easy to manipulate. You just give him some flattery and give him a gold clock, and he'll do whatever you ask. As a reminder, can Priti Patel still be arrested for secret negotiations? I think she should have been arrested because she was on secret negotiations with Israel, wasn't she? Such a gobshite, that woman. Cavan Lad said, I didn't expect to hear what sounded like multiple little explosions. Ooh, where are you? Where are you? Don't dox yourself. But like, are you in this country? Like, so go back to the fact that he's the head of state, the monarchy, right? The monarchy's head of state, the Church of England link, the Armed Forces Oath, and also the parliamentary system is structured around the crown in Parliament. And removing it would require major constitutional overhaul and political will that just does not exist. Honestly, I know that it's kind of one of those things that I think a lot of us would like to see happen, but we've got more pressing matters, and we hear this all the time. This is what you talk to MPs about your pet thing. Say it's rejoining the EU, which is for me, or whether it's voting reform. Voting reform is a really good one, actually. Go out with your local MP next time they're campaigning, right? And knock on doors and ask people, what their big issues are. Usually it's local issues. It's stuff that the council need to deal with. It's the bins, it's the potholes, it's the kids on the scrambler bikes. But when you talk about national issues, they talk about the NHS. They talk about their kids' schools. They talk about infrastructure. They talk about trains and how expensive they are and how slow they are and how they can't go anywhere. They talk about all that kind of stuff. Very, very, very few people, and this never happened to me so far, door knocking in Durham here. I've opened the door and said, we need voting reform. That's what we need. More than anything else, we need voting reform. And we do need voting reform. We do need to move back to the EU, but I can see why MPs are reluctant to go along to say, yeah, we have to make this a priority. Because for most people, it's not the priority. But here's the thing, right? We can make it a priority if we want to. Think about how the media and the powers that be have manipulated people into believing that the most important thing in the entire world ever is preventing trans women from using the toilet, or we have to leave the EU, or we have to now leave the European Convention on Human Rights. This has all been manufactured outrage over something to get people to say, yeah, we need to get rid of this thing, we need to change this thing. It's the most important thing ever. Immigration in recent years, it wasn't a big problem until fairly recently when the newspapers decided, okay, right, we're out the EU and COVID's over and we've taken all the rights away from trans people. What can we move to next? Oh, we'll go to immigrants. Yes, they're the problem for everything. They're drinking all the water. All the reservoirs are dry, not because of the mismanagement of water companies over the last 40 years. No, don't be silly. That's not it. They're going to privatise water companies, making loads of profit for their shareholders rather than actually looking after the fucking water system. No, it's all these immigrants coming over in boats, drinking all our water. They're drinking all our water. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're drinking the water. Yeah. So yeah, it is easy. Well, I say it's easy. If you control the means of communication, it is easy to make these campaigns that get people on board about things that didn't matter 5 years ago, but somehow now matter more than anything else in the world. But if you don't control the means of communication, it's very difficult. Very, very, very difficult to get people on board. It really is. It just, you're fighting up, you're trying to push water uphill all the time. It's like when, let's just have a little bit of a segue here because, you do know one of the most fucking irritating things for me as someone who creates left-wing content here on the internet is like the people go, oh, you're a grifter. And I know this winds up my friends as well who make content. It's like, can you fuck off? Like, seriously? You think this is easy doing all this for minimum wage? You think this is easy? Okay, it's not. It's really fucking not. You got to get up every day. You got to read the fucking news. You got to decide what you're going to say. You got to make notes and talk about it. You got to interact with people. You can't have a day off. You can't be ill. I work on Christmas Day. I work when I'm away at Legoland with the kids, and I work when I'm away at fucking Disneyland with the kids. Like, I've got to work every day. I don't get any sick pay. I don't get any paternity leave. I don't get any holiday time. I don't get any of that. If I was right wing, I'd be fucking minted. I'm serious about this. I would be absolutely fucking minted. They would fucking love me. Why? Because I'm not posh. I don't have a posh accent. So I can talk to the common man. I can relate to them on their level and all that patronising bullshit. Me and Femi laugh about the fact that if he was on the right, he would be a millionaire. A millionaire. It's so much easier. Being on the left, it's like trying to push fucking water uphill. And think about how the movement against Brexit. Jesus Christ, it was like herding fucking cats. So many different groups. Best for Britain, European movement, Grassroots for Europe, Leeds for Europe, Manchester for Europe, Liverpool for Europe. Like, just... and these groups didn't get on necessarily, and they'll have a march, and the very first anti-Brexit march I went on was in Manchester in 2017, I think. And I still remember it started outside like the Student Union building, right, on Oxford Road. And they had like a sign up, right, on the side of the stage that said, these people are not welcome. And it was a list of people who were in a different group, right? A different pro-EU group. And I'm looking at this sign going, what the fuck is going on here? Are they troublemakers? Are they Nazis? Are they going to come along and start punching people? No, they just don't share our values when it comes to why we need to stay in the EU. And so we did this. This is mind-blowing, okay, right? So there was, on one day in Manchester, there was a group that organised a march, which started at the Student Union on Oxford Road, if you know. We walked down Oxford Road. We got to Princess Street, turned right, and we went down Princess Street. We got to about the NCP car park, where the bus station is. Yeah, there, right? We got there, and then that was the end of the march. Meanwhile, on the same day, there was a rally, a pro-EU rally that was taking place, that was organised by a different group by Manchester Cathedral on the other side of the city centre. So instead of working together and having the march go to where the rally was, which is what I organised in 2019 when I did the sector fucking anti-Brexit, sector Remain, we had a march from Whitworth Park and we ended up at Castlefield and we had the rally in Castlefield. Jobs are fucking good. This one, it was organised by two groups that hated each other. that still wanted the same thing. They wanted to keep us in the EU, both of them. But they were like, no, I don't even want to see those people from that other group. How dare they? How dare they? This is how difficult it is on the left. This is when you see these groups, like your party is a fucking joke. And you know what? I'm glad your party exists. And you're going to think I'm a total bitch for saying this, but fuck them. Like, honestly, those knobheads who disrupt meetings, who just waste our time by talking about themselves for fucking half an hour before we, get onto the meeting in hand. I've been in these tedious fucking meetings where I've sat there for an hour in my free time. I don't get much free time. And I could be having dinner with the kids. But instead, I'm sitting there at some fucking meeting and there's someone's just wanging on about how important it is that we stay in the EU. And I'm like, yeah, I know. That's why I'm here. Fucking, why are you telling me this? Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, are you going to do another fucking half-hour lecture on teaching your grandmother how to suck fucking eggs? All those people are like these, Puritan gatekeepers. Oh, Graham, I know you've made over 2,700 videos on this channel, but on one of those videos, you said X, Y, Z, and I'll never forgive you. And I'm just like, oh, for fuck's sake. Okay, whatever. Bye then. Bye. We've got to stop it. Please, friends, stop it. I'm glad to have people who are Greens on it. I'm glad to have people who are Lib Dems. I'm glad to have people who are Labour on here, despite what, things that Greens have done, which have been fucking ridiculous. Things that the Lib Dems, and they went in with the fucking Tories, for Christ's sake. All this shit Labour's done, the anti-trans stuff, it's disgusting. Going after disabled people. What the fuck? But to turn around and go, like, that's it, done, go and fucking forever. It's not going to change anything. We're not going to make things better unless we work together and get these knobheads in these fucking parties to do what we want them to do. And the only way we're going to do that is by talking to them and having a fucking conversation, because a lot of them don't fucking know. I'm not saying they're idiots. Not all of them. But, like, we have this idea that, like, because we know stuff, we're interested in our particular causes and the things that we care about, that our MPs, our elected representatives, our councillors know all this stuff. Sort of automatically, they don't. They're just people. They're no different from someone you might meet in a cafe or in the pub or at the bus stop. They're just people. Unless you point this stuff out to them, then they might not know. So it's worth pointing it out to them. It really is. And yeah, if you've got a Tory MP, then you're probably up shit creek. But at least if you've got a Labour MP, you probably will get a response. Not always. I'm sure someone in the chat now is going to go, I've got a Labour MP and he's shit. But generally speaking, backbench Labour MPs, they're all right. In my experience, in terms of if you point something out to them, they'll go, oh, thanks for pointing that out to me. And then you can help. You can actually fucking help instead of us fighting amongst ourselves all the time. I hate it when I see, the Labour going after the Greens and Greens going after Labour. And I'm like, why don't we all team up and fight the common enemy? And they're like, what? The People's Popular Front of Judea? And I'm like, no, the fucking Romans! In which case, reform. A lot of letters in Rome in reform, isn't there? Just saying. Anyway, so yeah. United, we are stronger. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, Viper Scott. We need to stick together. And we need to keep these dialogues open. We need to be talking to each other instead of going, oh, you've done this one thing and I'll never, ever forgive you for it. Slam the door. That's it. I'm out. Come on. This is too serious for these fucking playground games. And this is why, I try to get people on who are Greens, who are, who are Labour, or Lib Dems, working together to make sure that we actually have some kind of progressive alliance that actually means something. And your party, take all the toxic people, take all the people who are just, you can't reason with, who are absolutists, and if they didn't get 100% of what they want, they flip their lid, and they don't want to be in power. They don't want to think about actually the mechanisms and what you do and what you have to do and the limitations of actual power in a country, in a city, in a village, in a company, in a village fucking shop. Doesn't matter. Whenever you've got a position of power over other people, it never goes the way you think it's going to. It just doesn't, because that's life. Things throw things in, spanners in the works, left, right, and centre. I'm sure Labour were kind of hoping that Trump wouldn't win the election in 2024, but he fucking did. He fucking did. No, he's running around the world causing fucking trouble, but there's an opportunity there. There's an opportunity to hoover up all these smart Americans, get them over here, come on, be even smarter British people, and to steal a lot of their fucking mojo when it comes to tech, which is something that we should have done ages ago, but now we've got an excuse to do it. Fucking steal it all. Rob it all. But yes, I think Bannon was behind QAnon. Says Diz, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Sean says the lesser most humans can't be trusted to do the right thing when there is no government. Yeah, absolutely. You get these characters who crave anarchy, thinking they're going to be the warlord. Says Andy. Yeah. You want to talk about anarchy? Read up on Somalia. Read up on Mogadishu. Just no. You don't want to live in anarchy. You seriously don't want to. You might fantasize about it, and you might have read some fun articles or seen some great videos about how it all works together and how everyone has a wonderful fucking time. Maybe on a very, very small micro level, but on a macro level, no fucking way. No fucking way. Because you're gonna have the guy with the biggest fucking gun is gonna be in charge. That's it. But yeah. I do see, again, you know, I'm very conscious of the fact that we don't have that big a subscriber base on this channel. So, you know, I don't really want to alienate anyone. So I'm not having a go, right? But have a think about this for the people who see themselves as anarchists or people who see themselves as communists, right? Why, when I say Brexit hasn't worked, does the response from a Brexiter sound excruciatingly like the same response that I get from someone who calls themselves a communist or someone who calls themselves an anarchist when I point out that it's never worked? It's never worked. I mean, the only part of the only example I can think of off the top of my head of communism kind of working is in Kerala in India, which is a state in the very south of India. As it comes down towards the tip, it's on the left. Kerala elected communists. God, it might have been in the 60s now. It was a long time ago. And as a result, Kerala is one of the richest states per capita in India. It has the best stats for education, female empowerment, women working, longevity, disease reduction, pretty much every single metric. You can have a look. Put all how many states are there in India? There's about 40, isn't there? So you get all 40 states of India and rank them. Usually Kerala comes out at the top. But the thing is that this communist system, this communist government isn't really a communist system. And I'll explain this because it's part of a bigger country that is a capitalist country. I mean, it's a little bit more socialist in certain areas, but it's not full on communism. It can't be, because although the state of Kerala is being ruled over by communists, the country isn't. It's not the state as in the entire country of India. And obviously, it needs to trade with its neighboring states, Tamil Nadu and places like that. And it's the best example for me of this very important distinction, right? It's not, for me, it's not that the communists that got in. It was that there was a group of people who didn't want to go into politics for personal gain. That's where I see the difference. They didn't want to go into politics for personal gain. And the vast majority of politicians, not just in India, but around the world, go into politics for personal gain. So you finally have a place that, you know, India's pretty corrupt. I mean, you do have to pay a lot of hurry the fuck up tax to do literally anything, you know, aka bribery. But Kerala is a bit of a shining light in this respect, and it's because I believe that the people who have been elected over the years to represent the people of Kerala on a local level, on a state level, have got into it for the right reasons. But that's the only reason I can think of. Sorry, that's the only not the only reason I can think of, but that's the reason that I go to, rather than strict adherence to the Communist Manifesto, which hasn't particularly happened there. It's more socialist than communist, which is a good thing. Got no problem with socialism. I think socialism is a really fucking great idea. I think unfettered capitalism is the worst of all possible fucking worlds. It needs to be pulled back. It needs to be drawn back in by socialism. But my point remains that if you say to a Brexiter, why has Brexit not worked? Why has it been such a disaster? They will say, because it's not been done properly. And that's exactly what anarchists say. That's about anarchy. That's exactly what communists say about communism. And with all due respect, I don't want to be experimented on. I don't want to be part of your fucking experiment, your social experiment, to try and perfect the formula of this thing that I can see from 1,000 miles away is never going to fucking work. Anarchy is just going to end in fucking the biggest man, and it will be a man, going around with a big gun and raping and killing everyone. I do not want that. And I'm sure you can give me examples of where, anarchy has been declared and that hasn't happened. But yeah, no. It's too much of a risk. Okay, let's even pretend that that's not just a foregone conclusion. The risk of that happening is far too great. It is far too great. I don't want to take that risk. Communism, I'm sure if it worked, it would be great. But people say, oh, it's a great idea on paper. It's a shit idea in practice. Right? Wrong. It's a shit idea on paper as well, because it makes the exact same mistake as capitalism. Because it looks at, if you look at Adam Smith, you look at Karl Marx, look at their writing, they have no emotion in their writing. They're not thinking about human emotions. They take the humanity out. It's just basically written by fucking accountants who just see a spreadsheet and go, oh, well, if I do this formula, then I'll get this X result. And neither of them take into account, whether it's the Communist Manifesto or the Wealth of Nations, they do not take into account greed. Actually, to be fair to Adam Smith, I'm not going to be too kind to him, but yeah, actually, Adam Smith does kind of mention it a little bit, but kind of underplays it. This idea that the market will sort itself out, and if someone becomes too greedy, then but these two particular ways of doing things, and anarchy as well. But I don't think there's a leading light of the anarchists. I don't think, but those two particular ideas both fall down for the same reason. Humans are greedy. Humans want more, and for some people, they'll never have enough. They'll never have enough. And yeah, basic human psychology. So we can't have a system that's pure. We can't have a government that's going to give us 100% of what we want, because then it's going to impinge on something that someone else wants, because we all want different fucking things. If we get 50% of what we want, I genuinely believe we're doing well with 50%. I mean, Labour could do a lot better though, for everyone. I'm not saying that there's no room for improvements, because there certainly is at Labour. But this is why we, as a society, I think we need to. Again, I don't want to offend anyone. I think we need to grow the fuck up. I really do. Stop stamping our feet and saying, no, it's got to be 100% of everything I need and desire. Because you've got to understand that what you need and desire might be the opposite of what your neighbour needs or desires. And trying to keep everybody happy is impossible. Absolutely impossible. So we try and keep the greatest, happiness for the greatest fucking number. It doesn't mean tyranny for minorities. We need to protect minorities. And that's somewhere where Labour has spectacularly failed. We can talk about that. Really good episode of The Intersection earlier this week with Rachel and Hannah talking about this High Court judgment last week from in this case that was brought by the Good Law Project to try and get some fucking clarity on what the law fucking means, and it's ended up with more fucking muddying of the waters on how trans people should be treated and the dignity they should be afforded in everyday life. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying like everything's fucking perfect. I'm saying everything's not perfect. I'm saying it never will be. All we can do is fight for a better future and fight for a better life for us now, but also a better future. Plant some fucking seeds for a tree that we are not going to sit in the shade of. Do you know what I mean? That's what we've got to do as a group. And yeah, I think that most people who watch these channels, like me and Max and Phil's channels, I think we're the sort of, I like to think we're the more sensible ones, because we're not stamping our feet and demanding this and this and this. And I think that's just the way that we've got to do it, because we're not going to change the world by arguing amongst ourselves. We're not going to change the world by being gatekeepers and shutting people out and saying, this person is persona non grata. They may not go to my march. What the fuck? Seriously, you got a march of a couple of thousand people, and you got a list of like 6 people who aren't allowed to be there because you had an argument with them at a meeting. I mean, it's just crazy. It is just absolutely crazy. We had a super chat a while back. Sorry, I didn't address that at the time. I was going off on one, if you didn't notice. Anarchy in the UK, it's coming sometime, maybe. Yeah, well, the guy who sang that, so he's a big fucker now, isn't he? And he loves fucking Brexit, and he sells butter. And the guy who was his manager was a big fucking nonce, Malcolm McLaren. He's a gobshite, wasn't he? So there you go, Miss Paula Thomas. And the anarchy never came. It's funny, like they sang in the 25th Jubilee year that there was no future for the monarchy. There was no future for the monarchy. And then they really released that, didn't they, in the 50 year Jubilee, didn't they? And then the 60-year Jubilee. Did we have a 70-year Jubilee? For every rich man, there must be 500 poor. And if it were not for the strong arm of the civil magistrate, the rich man would sleep ill in his bed. That is Adam Smith. There you go. For every rich man, there must be 500 poor. Wow. Yeah. Do you see what I mean? And we give up our rights. We give up our inalienable rights to the state, to the Leviathan, to look after us. That was written about by Thomas Hobbes back in the fucking 1600s. This is nothing new, And Voltaire and Rousseau wrote about the social contract that we have. And that's an idea that has stood the test of time. That we do. We give up certain rights, so we don't have to live lives that are nasty, brutish, and short. But here's the thing. The rich, the upper echelons, the monarchy, this paedophile ring, the E-list celebrities, the Epstein list celebrities around the world, these billionaires, they're fucking things up for the rest of us. I don't understand it. I do, because humans are twats. Some humans are twats. But you've got to be a real fucking psychopath. Like J.K. Rowling, she's got to be a psychopath, right? She's got to have a few screws loose in the old noggin, the fucking moldy mort. She's the richest author in the world. And yet she spent all her time on Twitter slagging off trans people, making life hell for trans people, driving trans children to suicide. That's her new job. She used to give children delight, especially children in the queer community. Who identified with Harry Potter, the kid who lived under the stairs and was shunned, and he couldn't be himself in front of his auntie and uncle because they were very homophobic, wizard phobic. And then he found this place of magic and light and danger and excitement with all of his little friends, and he discovered a whole new world that existed. The idea of the door opening to Oz, or finding Hogwarts, or walking down into the gay quarter, walking down Canal Street in Manchester and finding a home. And then she said, I'm going to take this joy and delight that I've given to kids, and I'm going to make them fucking suicidal instead. What the fuck? They say absolute power corrupts. Power corrupts and absolute power corrupts entirely. But I think, money corrupts, and absolute money corrupts absolutely. But these people have got so much power, and the social contract doesn't count for them. And this is why I'm so glad that this motherfucker got arrested yesterday on his 66th birthday. Happy birthday, Prince Andy, you fucking nonce. Get in the back of the taxi or fucking back of the fucking paddy wagon. Bet you fucking sweating now, you fucking nonce bastard. More of this, please. I want Mandelson to go down as well. Not on Jeffrey Epstein. I want him to fucking go to fucking jail. I want to see these fucking rich motherfuckers face jail time for their fucking crimes. We saw this week, earlier this week. The former leader of South Korea started a fucking life sentence for trying to make a fucking coup against his own fucking country. Good. That's what's supposed to happen. Didn't happen in America, though, with their fucking constitution. Oh, look at our constitution. Our constitution will ride over the fucking hill and save us. Yeah, whatever. Couldn't put away a guy who literally mounted an insurrection against your own fucking parliament building, you mad bastards. A guy who stole secret documents and gave them away to the fucking enemy so that 150 American fucking secret agents were assassinated around the world. Yeah, good, nice one. You know, the agents that were deep set into terrorist organizations around the world and narco traffickers around the world, and they gave up all the names. He gave the names away to anyone who'll give him some fucking money. He got away with it. He got away with ringing up the fucking governor of Georgia and saying, I need 11,780 more votes. He got away with it. Fucking got away with it. He got away with a fake electors scheme where he was going to send fake electors to Washington to say that these states that voted for Biden actually voted for Trump. And he would have got away with it too if it hadn't been for his vice president who said, no, I don't want to do this. To which Trump said, all right, I'll send a mob to fucking hang you. To his own vice president. Got away with it. And I am sick and tired of seeing people getting away with it. That's what it boils down to. We signed the social contract when we were born. We did. Normal people did. The rich, the private school mafia, the fucking upper echelons of society, the upper class, the monarchy, the royal family, they didn't sign any fucking contract. They had to do shit. All these years, they could do what the fuck they wanted. Prince Andrew could have sex with children. Trafficked into this country by a foreign financier. And he thought he could get away with it. And up to this point, he fucking did. Jimmy Savile got away with it. He got away with it. He died not standing fucking trial, not spending a day in a cell for his horrific crimes. And yet when someone famous finally gets blown up for like doing horrific stuff, we think of Russell Brand or we think of like David Williams. People, you know, both privately educated, by the way. You get all these people going, oh no, you gotta leave them alone. You know, women make things up. All right, mate. You are, as a man, you are many times more likely to be a victim of sexual assault than to be accused of sexual assault. Just saying. I'm more annoyed that Michael Oldfield has feet of clay. John Lydon always seemed to be a contrarian. For what it's worth, although the Pistols had Glenn Matlock, The Clash, and the Stranglers were musically superior. Yeah, they were. They definitely, I mean, they could barely play the fucking instruments, the Sex Pistols, but yeah. JKR was beaten by her husband and clearly now believes he was a trans woman, simply deluded. Yeah. But that's the reality, isn't it? That's the sad reality that we have, unfortunately, that we're living with at the moment, which is that I say it's unfortunate. I don't know how to describe it because it just is the way it is, right? If someone means you harm in this life, it's nearly always someone you know. It's nearly always someone you know. Muggings take place. That's a stranger crime. Okay, that they go up to someone they don't know and take their wallet off them, their knife point. But generally speaking, you hear about a kid getting shot or stabbed in London, it's got to be someone that they knew who did it. It's going to be someone from a rival fucking drugs gang or one of their classmates. If you hear a story about a woman being murdered, 9 times out of 10, it was their partner. It was their husband. It was their boyfriend. It might have been their father. It might have been their brother. It's very rare for people to just go around murdering fucking strangers. we don't really have serial killers anymore. They just don't seem to exist. I mean, that was a boomer thing. Like, the boomers are all dying out now, so we have no serial killers. Not all boomers were serial killers. I want to emphasize that, but it is a bit odd when you look at that graph of like number of serial killers from the 40s, and it goes fuck off, and then it comes back down again, and it's like 70s, 80s, 90s. It's just serial killer heaven. Every movie is about serial killers. Every day there's a new serial killer to be worried about. There's a bit of an obsession with serial killers at the time, which has kind of gone away a bit now. But the idea, the concept, the fear that has been created, conjured up by the oil companies and the oil oligarchs. So they're the people who invented this, along with the greenwashing bullshit that they like to talk about. You know, whenever you hear about carbon capture or your green fucking footprint or your carbon footprint, isn't it? Or they talk about hydrogen. Oh, what's delayed the launch of this Artemis rocket? Oh, is it a hydrogen leak? Is it a hydrogen leak? Is that because hydrogen's leaky as fuck? Is that because hydrogen's the smallest fucking atom there is? Is that why? And it just doesn't stay in anything that you try and put it in. You need fucking steel 17 inches thick to keep the bastard stuff from fucking leaking out. And you can't have something that heavy on a rocket because obviously, you know, you've got to get the rocket out of the fucking into the sky. And so you've got to make this trade-off between the lightness of the heaviness of the rocket and the amount of fuel it can take and blah, blah, blah. There's lots of equations to be done. Leaking fuel. And these oil companies go, oh, we're gonna all have a hydrogen car in 10 years' time. I've heard that every year since I was born. 10 years' time, hydrogen car, and its only byproduct is water. Someone like, you know, putting a cup under the exhaust pipe and then drinking it. Whoa, lovely water. It's the only byproduct. Yeah, you're not going to keep that hydrogen in your car. Even if you freeze it down to nearly absolute zero in order to get into its liquid form, it still fucking leaks. And it takes more energy to get it down to its liquid form than you would actually get out of using a small amount of hydrogen in your car to make it go. It's bullshit. We're going to have hydrogen batteries. You're going to have hydrogen fuel cell battery. No, you're not. You're not, because it'll leak. It'll fucking leak. Your battery will have to be so fucking heavy. Not because of the lead in it. It wouldn't have lead in it. It's hydrogen in it, and hydrogen's really fucking light. You know, hydrogen, helium, lithium. That's the way the periodic table goes. But you have to build a fucking lead wall around it to stop the fucking hydrogen from fucking leaking. Because that's what hydrogen does. It's a highly explosive gas that fucking likes to leak. Anyway. The oil companies paid for people to think, to believe, women, feminists, to believe the biggest threat in their life was that they'll go into the toilets of Little Chef and there'll be a trans woman in there. That means them harm. Oh, well, why is that? Are trans women more likely to commit crime? No. More likely to be victims of crime, actually. Okay. So what's the problem? I don't know. We just need a fucking weapon of mass destruction, don't we? And who can we get on board with this? J.K. Rowling. What? Really? This is your legacy? This is the way you want people to remember you? Being a fucking vile transphobe who drove fucking children to suicide? You fucking kidding me? Okay. Yeah. Gallifreyan Men said that if the courts and Voldemort got their way, the only right I'd have is to remain silent. Yeah, that's what they want. That's what they want. They don't want trans people in life. In fact, it's just trans women, isn't it? Because it's as though trans men don't exist. It's as though non-binary people don't exist. They fucking do. Good friend of mine is non-binary. Like, why? Oh. And there's this weird thing that I think because a lot of people don't know any trans people, they never met a trans person, and they assume that all trans people are going to be like drag queens, which are not trans people necessarily. They're different people. Like there's a whole thing about being a drag queen, which is about, gay culture, dressing up, RuPaul's Drag Race. It's fucking brilliant, and you go out and perform. But there is a difference, and you notice this if you ever watch Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, because obviously in that Hugo Weaving and Guy Pearce are gay, whereas the gay drag artists, whereas Terence Stamp's character is a trans woman. And they don't see the difference. They don't understand that there's a difference there. So they've got in their head that all trans women can walk around, being fabulous, drag queens, and saying catty things. Oh, I'm going to be catty at you now because I'm trans. Look, that's what trans women do. They're catty at everyone. They make funny little bon mots at people. And I'm like, no, that's different. Honestly, it was like trying to explain to people the difference between the European Court of Justice and the European Court of Human Rights. They're different things. They're two different. That's not to say that drag queens, that trans women can't be drag queens as well. Of course they can. But I mean, that's the mentality that people have. They've made that link in their head, and never the twain should be untangled. Don't forget, there's a whole generation of older people, my dad's generation, so they were the silent generation, they were before the boomers, who had in their head that everyone who was gay was a deviant, and therefore, because they like to have sex with men, they would also, by extension, also want to have sex with children. And the idea of someone who's gay being a sexual offender in that respect was very prevalent amongst that generation. People who, they're not motivated by their religion to think this. They're not even religious. They just think, gay people, they're all pedophiles. They do think that. And that's horrible. They've made that connection in their head. And it's very, very difficult to change anyone's mind on anything. The way that we have managed to change minds over the years is by someone in the family or some neighbor or some close friend coming out as gay or growing up as gay, and people going, oh, so you're not all child abusers. Oh, okay, that's okay. The problem with trans women is, this is the only problem with trans women, because trans women are fucking awesome. There's not enough of them. There's not enough of them. We need more trans people. Because if there were more trans people, they'll be more likely to be people who have got a friend or family member or neighbor or colleague who are trans. And they'll go, oh, actually, I went to the toilet and they didn't kill me and eat my eyeballs. Whatever the fuck they think that trans women are going to do in a women's toilet, apart from go for a fucking piss or a shit now and again. Drives me fucking mad. But this is the upper echelons. This is what they do. They have us fighting amongst ourselves, and they just go, well, they make off with all the loot. I always think of that cartoon that came out during the banking crisis, and it was a bank robber in a bank saying, with the guns, give us all your money. And there was a bank manager leaving the bank with a huge sack of money over his shoulder, and he's just looking at the bank robber going, ha, amateur. They're laughing at us. They're fucking laughing at us. They're laughing at us. Sean says they are working on experiments that was first done in the 1800s. You cool down hydrogen, heat it up, and turn it into powder. A lot of energy is used. Yeah, but it's bullshit. I mean, it breaks the laws of thermodynamics. You're never going to get enough fucking energy out of hydrogen. It's just never going to happen. There's thousands of trans on Pornhub. Ask Alex Jones. Alex Jones. Yeah. Tim's house. You know that if you found the fucking hard drive or the internet history of Graham Linehan, it would be filled with trans porn. I mean, it would be just chock-a-block. The hard drive would be bulging, physically bulging, because of all the trans pornography and you know it, don't you? We all know it. So yeah. Anyway, so back to the monarchy. I want to finish by 11, so I'm going to wrap this up soon. Rolling my sleeves up to crack through this. So yeah, Labour, let's go back to the abolition of the monarchy and whether it's going to happen. Labour are not campaigning on abolition. The Conservatives are pro-monarchy. Lib Dems are historically Republican, but they're not prioritising it. Reform UK are obviously actively monarchist, so there's no mainstream. There is no mainstream abolition movement. And then, you've got the self-protection of the upper class, Britain's establishment, the civil service. We've got new head of the cabinet office, the new cabinet secretary. Privately educated, of course. We've got the judiciary, all the High Court judges, privately educated, of course. We've got the military bosses who have gone to the officers who went to Sandhurst, nearly all privately educated. The church, again, nearly all privately educated. The media elite, the people who get to write these columns in the newspaper to tell you what to think, nearly all privately educated. And then you've got the political class. If they are on the right, then 9 times out of 10, they've gone to a private school. And they're all deeply entwined with the monarchy because they went to school with them. They went to Eton and Harrow, places where the monarchs go, and they will not burn it down over Andrew. They will close ranks, I'll tell you that now. And then you've got the class dynamic, because Andrew represents the old aristocratic entitlements and the access culture, and the trade envoy was given to him as a privileged position. No one elected him. No one asked for that. He wasn't competent. But the thing is here, he is expendable. He is absolutely expendable. And don't forget, in 1936, the fucking king was expendable. There's got another one. There's always an heir. There's always an heir and a spare. The system protects itself by sacrificing the embarrassing limb. And the upper class playbook is this. They express shock at what's happened, and they put distance between them. And you saw that yesterday in the letter from the monarch, from King Charles, saying Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor was arrested. Right, I saw with some concern, right, that he was arrested. I didn't say my brother, didn't say member of the royal family or anything like that. They cooperate publicly. They let the process grind on, and then they move on. And then he becomes the disgraced former royal, a footnote, a cautionary tale, etc. I really do hope he goes to jail, though. Miss Paula Thomas, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Just think about how much Lord's reform dominated Blair's first 4 years. Abolishing the monarchy is, unfortunately, about 100 times harder. Yeah. So what could actually threaten the monarchy? Well, for the monarchy to truly fall, you'll need probably direct evidence of a systematic cover-up, institutional cover-up, which I don't think is going to be found or happen, but you never know, because they are looking at Sandringham, and they're looking in Windsor, aren't they? Are they looking in Windsor? Is that where they're looking as well? Balmoral, no, that's up in Scotland, not going up there. There was a financial scandal. There was a financial scandal implicating core royals like Charles himself or William. Charles personally implicated in the wrongdoing. William implicated, like I say, that a broader elite corruption wave tying to the monarchy that could lead to a wider state collapse. But at present, that threshold hasn't been crossed. I mean, I don't feel like we're anywhere near it, to be honest with you. But we have got this generational divide, which I mentioned earlier, where, younger Britain's less deferential, less religious, less attached to hereditary principle, but they're not mobilised around abolition because, cost of living is fucking us all at the moment. We need to deal with that before we can. It feels like getting rid of the monarchy at the moment is a nice to have. And that's a horrible thing to have to say, but it's true, isn't it? It feels like a nice to have. Cost of living, obviously the NHS, the housing crisis at the moment. And so there's a sentiment towards republicanism, towards getting rid of the monarchy, but there's no active movement. I know there is movements. I mean, like groups that want to get rid of the monarchy in a very shouty about it, like Republic. But at the same time, they don't really have the groundswell of public opinion behind them. And but this is, in a way, when I talk about it being the beginning of the end, I think this helps puncture the mystique argument. The aura of the monarchy is fading. The Queen never really made many statements on things, whereas Charles did when he was Prince Charles. The Queen never really got a chance to do that because she was only 26 when she became, 26 or something like that, when she became Queen, whereas Charles was like in his fucking 70s before he became king. So obviously he said dumb things in his life. So this kind of reverence had been shattered a little bit, cracked a little bit. But this could openly, hopefully shatter it. And social media has not been kind to Andrew. I mean, he has very, very few supporters now. I don't think anyone's going to bat for him. And global scrutiny is harsher than ever before because we've all got the internet and we're all talking about it. But While the modern monarchy will not survive on its mystique, it will survive on familiarity, stability, ritual, lack of alternative appetite, and, inertia. It's boringly durable. It's a good way of putting it. Go Diz, says Martin Harrow, with our maybe our last super chat of the morning, because that has triggered the confetti cannon for the third time, I think. It's a wrap. Hey, woohoo! Every 5 super chats we get some confetti, which is always very exciting. Just put another 50p in the idiot. Thank you very much, Martin. That's very kind of you. Police search still on at Royal Lodge, Windsor. Yeah, I thought they went to Windsor. Sorry, I didn't turn the confetti sign off. Go away, confetti sign. But yeah, there is a parallel at this point with Diana, and those of us old enough to remember when Diana died. I was 18 at the time. Bloody hell, formative experience of my life. I just voted in my first election, and Labour had got in after 18 years, literally 18 years, my entire life, or up to that point, so it was the first 2 months of my life, were under Labour, but the rest of it was under fucking Thatcher and then under fucking Major. But after Diana, many predicted collapse, talk of referendums, talk about, the public anger was visceral. Whereas I think this is different this time, because the anger's not visceral. It's more like laughing at him. It's more like we're sort of happy that he's being taken down a peg or two, rather than like furious that he did these fucking crimes, which is probably wrong. And the fact that he's gone down for tax evasion instead of all the gangster shit he's done. Sorry, I'm talking about Al Capone there. Is the fact that he's going down for misconduct in public office instead of all the fucking pedophilia that he was involved in, and people trafficking, women trafficking, girl trafficking. There was a chance in 1997 where it looked like the monarchy was on the ropes, and so they tried to make the monarchy slim down. They recalibrated their relationship with the media. William was rebranded as this modern heir, to try and move away from Charles, because he was sort of disgraced at the time. And there was a gradual recovery of support, which took 20 years, which they then threw away with what happened to Meghan Markle. This is not as big a deal, I don't think, as the response to the death of Princess Diana. But still, I think it is just another chink in the armor, shall we say, of the monarchy. And unlike in Spain or in other monarchies, there's no current mass protest movement against the monarchy. There's no large Republican Party. We're not really in a constitutional crisis right now. If it was the king getting done for this, the king getting arrested, then yeah, fair enough. And there's no controversy over like the military. This is more like a scandal rather than a revolution. So what happens next? They've got to kick Andrew to the curb. I hope he goes to jail. The investigation will drag on for quite a long time, probably, and the palace is just going to continue distancing from him. William will become the focal point of stability. We saw him this week going on a podcast or going on Radio 1 or something, and the media cycle moves on. And within 12 to 18 months, the public memory of this is going to fade. And I think that this is going to dip approval for the monarchy, but I don't think it's going to collapse. There is a question though that is worth asking, which is like, what if what if Andrew decides he doesn't want to be with us anymore? It could happen. And then you're going to get a lot of sympathy for the monarchy. You're going to see people say, well, I know he did bad things, but he didn't deserve that. And how awful it must be for the king, his brother going that way and, being dragged through the court and, you know what people are like. Everyone's a bastard till they're dead. And then they suddenly become a great bloke once they're dead. I don't know. But yeah, all things being equal, Andrew will just have to fucking take his knocks, and if his ego can fucking cope with it. Don't know if it can. He seems quite fragile. But I think that the the long-term damage on this to the monarchy, it won't be seen. It won't be seen for quite a while. I think we've got bigger fish we need to fry right now, other than big constitutional change in our country. And if anything, and you're going to hate me saying this, but if anything, looking across at the US right now, right? No one going down. Nobody getting taken to task. So Trump's not being taken to task. Everyone else mentioned in the documents not being taken to task. You've got Pam Bondi appearing before Congress and just, saying, who cares about all this stuff? The Dow is at 50,000. You've got the fellas who murdered Pretty and Renee Good. Alex Pretty and Renee Good murdered them in the streets, getting away with it. Literally getting away with murder in the US. Meanwhile, over here, the King's brother gets arrested and charged. Meanwhile, over here, I don't think he's been charged yet, but he's out on bail or something. And then they're going to go after Mandelson as well. Actually, heads fucking rolling. People having to leave their job as a result. So with the chief advisor, or the chief of staff, whatever his name was, the Morgan McSweeney, yesterday's news, he's gone. 3 people from the civil service in working for the Prime Minister in this country have gone as a result of the releases of the Epstein files. In America, fuck all has happened. But yes, but like I say, the monarchy will take a bit of an arc. In some respects, people might go, well, at least we're not America. At least when these royals commit crimes, we can put them in jail. Can't do that in America with the ruling elites. So yeah, I'm just hoping that is the case. That people see that America, the way that America is responding to this is not great, and the fact that if people want reform to be in charge of this country, look at America now. That's the future reform want for this country. They want the elite to be unaccountable. Maybe point that out to people who are saying they're going to vote for refuck. Maybe point it out to them. I don't know. Miss Paul Thomas, there are suggestions that Royal Protection officers have covered up Andrew's behaviour. Yeah, I've heard that as well. But yeah, the monarchy's going to close ranks. It's going to throw Andrews to the wolves. It's going to say no one is above the law except for the king, and then rebrand around William and move on. That's going to be the plan. That's going to be the plan. But is it the end of the monarchy? No, absolutely not. But does it bring them down a peg or two? Yeah. And in a weird way, while it brings down the monarchy a peg or two, it might actually bring up the British state and the idea that actually, I know it's crazy and it's dysfunctional and it shouldn't fucking work, but some of our institutions still work, which is more than I can say for America right now, where nothing is fucking working. So I'm going to crack on now with a very, very quick roundup of the news, because it is past 11 o'clock and I've got to do my show with Phil in about an hour and a half. I'll get ready for it anyway. Andrew arrested. Andrew police probe. King law must take its course. Taxi for Andy. The arrest of Andrew. Downfall. My brother must face the law. The law must take its course. Police arrest former Prince Andrew in misconduct probe over Epstein links. We've also got Trump sets 10-day window to decide on Iran strikes as US builds forces up. His 2-week thing. He goes on about 2 weeks, doesn't he? I will say that he's probably going to kick off this weekend, to be honest with you. We've got Romeo fears raised before elevation to cabinet post. This is about Dame Antonia Romero, who's been... Is it Romeo? Is it Romero? It can't be Romero because it doesn't have 2 E's, does it? Romeo has been named as one of the country's top civil servants privately educated, of course. And then we've got Centrica halts buybacks after 40% earnings slump. We've got reform to target unions. By-election candidate Matthew Goodwin has said his party will get public sector unions under review, hinting at the challenges Nigel Farage's face causing working class voters. Okay, they're going to get rid of unions as well. So they're going to get rid of all your working rights, and they're going to get rid of your right to unionise. Fucking Thatcher on steroids. Brilliant. Rio Tinto's copper shines. Private credit shares hit. Tech billionaires for hire. Fed official hits back. US portions downsized. The Guardian here. King says law must take its course after Andrew arrest. Law, same title there, same headline on the Metro. And that's it. That's all the newspapers. All the same picture of almost all the same picture of Prince Andrew, and I have no sympathy at all. I mean, look at him. Look, I know. Sorry, I know this is really horrible to look at because but just look at this guy's fucking face. Taxi for Andy. Look at that. That is a man. That is a man who has fucked around and found out. That is the image. That is just. I've seen hundreds of memes already. That picture only came out about 7 o'clock yesterday, and I've already seen like dozens and dozens of memes. It is quite impressive how quickly the memes have got out there. But yeah, downfall. Good. I'm glad that picture exists. I hope it haunts him for the rest of his godforsaken days, because he is a horrible man, an absolutely horrible man who did horrible things to young girls and got away with it for years. And now, finally, shit is catching up to him. And I hope he goes to jail. He might not, but even if he doesn't, that picture will exist for eternity now of this horrible, horrible man that nobody wants anything to do with. So there you go. Before I go, I want to share with you the breaking news that William Shatner is releasing a metal album. You weren't expecting that, were you? He's set to cover Judas Priest, Black Sabbath, and Iron Maiden at the age of 94. In the meantime, right, I'm going to boldly go the fuck away. And I'll be back in about a couple of hours with Phil Morehouse for today's agenda, where we're going to be talking about the by-election that's coming up next Thursday in Gorton and Denton in Manchester. And we'll be talking about the new appointment of Antonia Romeo, as the chief of the Cabinet Office. And so if you would like to tune into that, should be fun. Might have a bit of banter, might have a bit of a debate. You never know. You might end up in a large debate, not a mass debate, because obviously it's just going to be the two of us. So, but if you want to join us for that later, you are very welcome to. That starts at 1 o'clock here on the Politics Social channel. At 9:30 tonight, we're going to be having the Friday night social. With me, Mike Dix, and friends. So please join us for that. We've got some good news for Mike. He has got his operation date, which is March the 3rd. So, we'll be talking about that and other things that are going on. Obviously, Prince Andrew and jokes and memes are going to be shared with gay abandon. So please join us for that. And until next time, I'll say give a like on the way out. Give the like a lick. Lick the like, thank you, on the way out. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, but you do like listening to us, will you please give us a like, right? Give us a thumbs up, but also subscribe to the channel. Because every day we get people saying, oh, I missed your show because I didn't know it was on. Hit the bell notification icon, and that'll give you a buzz in your pocket when we're about to go live. And I try and do stuff, like I try and set things up so it's between, half an hour and 5 minutes before we go live. So you don't get a buzz in your pocket like 3 hours earlier, and then you go, oh, hang on, that's on. But generally speaking, we try to keep to the same timetable, but we do our best. Thank you very much for the chat. Thank you very much for being such good friends and being so awesome and being just lovely people. Just thank you. And thanks for the super chats. And you keep this channel alive by the unique way that your BBC is funded. No, by me, the Graham is funded. By the Big B Me is funded. So thank you very much for that. And until next time, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.